Hi everyone, this is Julien, and here's a video about how you can track your Raspberry Pi computer server activity with Google Universal Analytics. So I don't know if you've read my different columns on my blog about how to use Google Analytics and its new universal measurement capabilities to measure all sorts of things, especially with the Raspberry Pi mini computer. Then I encourage you to read that. But today we're going to see how to create scripts on your Raspberry Pi that can trigger Google Analytics endpoints, so server calls, if you will. Alright, well, let's get started. So, like any good cooking show, I have all my ingredients ready. So I've already prepared a bunch of shell scripts that we're going to use to trigger the Google Analytics server calls. So let's connect to our Raspberry Pi. So let's SSH over to my, yep, there we go. So Pi Raspberry Pi.local. If you haven't used .local yet to name your local machines, try it. It's very nifty. You don't have to remember all of the IP addresses. Alright, let's enter my password. Incorrect, because my password is always incorrect. Alright, now let's switch to my UA folder. It's where I have all my scripts ready. So I have 3 scripts, as you can see. One is called RPI for Raspberry Pi. That's called boot, sh, reboot, and shutdown. So these 3 scripts are going to be called separately at different stages of my server's uptime. So boot, obviously, when the server boots, reboot when it's rebooting, and shutdown when it's just plain shutdown. Alright, so let's see how this works. Let's open one with Nano, good old text editor. Nano, RPI, boot.sh. Bang. Alright, let me just widen my screen a bit. Alright, so what we see? So we got the endpoint. This is where I'm going to define my starting point, where my data goes to Google Universal Analytics. Note that it's no longer utm.gif, that's the image, it's the /collect endpoint, as we call it. Alright, we have a hit type of t equals event, if we're tracking an event, not a page view, no transaction, no timing, no social. Alright, the account ID is obviously my UA dash whatever, okay, which corresponds to my property here. Client ID can be anything here, so in this case it's going to be an arbitrary number like 777 or like 888 or 1337, who cares. Host name is just for good measure, just give it a host name. And there I'm going to define the parameters I pass for the event. So here in this case, an event category of Raspberry Pi and an event action of boot. And then I have a user agent of Raspberry Pi, so as not to get blocked or blacklisted because I'm using wget here. I could be using curl as well, but yeah, using a user agent makes it less likely to get banned or blacklisted by the target server. Alright, then when I say endpoint concat, I'm going to concatenate all of these variables into one big string, which is going to be my server call URL. Okay, once I'm done with that, I release the Kraken, so I'll just point my wget to the final URL with a custom user agent, and I just output everything else to the void that is /dev/null, so I don't actually store the requests, so otherwise I'd have a bunch of pixels from Google Analytics. Alright, so I'm pretty sure you can guess in my other scripts what is going to change. So the action here is going to change from boot to reboot to shutdown. Alright, let's close it up. Yay! Let's clear the screen for good measure and take a quick break. Right, so now we get to test them out. So now I'm going to call them separately with, let's say, sh, RPI, boot.shell. And bam! Alright, I got a wget request here, and oh, look at that. In my real-time report for events, I have a boot event that's being triggered here. So Raspberry Pi has event category, event action boot, and yeah, there you go. My counter just went up by 1. If I really wanted to test this out, I could definitely just go crazy and put a bunch of those. Yeah, there we go. So as you can see, my pages per second is going to either increase or it's going to count how many individual hits I've had. So yeah, so far so good. I'm increasing my counter. And of course, as you understand, if I try that with the other scripts, I'm going to just change the name of my script, and I'm going to go yet another hit. But this time I'm going to have 3 lines here in my reports. One that should read reboot. Should be the keyword because apparently it's not. Yeah, here we go. And I have 3 lines, one for each of my action types. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. Great. Let's go back, clear this up, and we're going to see how those scripts are being called by the server in due time. Alright, so now we're going to see how to call these scripts now that we've seen that they work, that they actually trigger events on the Google Analytics side. So we're now going to see how we trigger them. So let's go to our good old etc folder, which has lots and lots of mysterious files, and let's edit with nano a file called rc.local. And this is where you may have more instructions than me here, so your mileage may vary, but here I'm including my link to sh and then the full path to my script. So /home/pi/ua rpi becomes called brew.sh, and that's it. Alright, great. So if you don't know where it is, it may sit somewhere else on your machine, so just you can use the locate instruction. Okay, so let's go to exit, clear again. The second one we want is in the shutdown sequence. Alright, so the last place we need to look is the rc0.d folder, which contains all of the level 0 instructions, i.e. the ones that are being executed when the server shuts down. So you will have some different results, depending on how fast your server shuts down. So if you shut down the network layer before the endpoint is called, then of course it's going to fail. But hey, you get the idea. So let's go to this rc0.d folder, and in here you'll notice I have a bunch of scripts. One of them is called K01 Google Analytics, and what's in there, you ask? Well, K01 Google Analytics contains just a call to shell and my path to my shell script, and that's pretty much it. Bam. Alright, so go ahead, try it at home. By all means, do try it at home. And the nice thing about this is you can get results with the real-time reports in Google Analytics, and you don't really have to wait that much. I mean, if only for basic stuff. If you add even levels, you won't have a view of automatic real-time event labels. I guess they're not available yet. But that's the keyword, yet. It might actually come up. Anyway, so if you have questions about this particular experiment, by all means, just throw me a line under the video in the comments, or visit my blog at juliencoquet.com. There's an English section on if you add a /en to the site, and that's pretty much it. So there's a bunch of articles about Google Analytics in general. Universal Analytics lately, and there's this one article about tracking your dog with GPS and 3G and Google Analytics Universal, which I think you'll like. Alright, thanks. Bye.